live.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Take control of your city.
You have failed this city.
In brightest day,
in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight.
That man is playing Galaga.
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
We are the future, Charles, not them.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Hey folks, you are listening to Rogue One Radio. This is episode number 40. I am half of your host team, Steve. With me, of course, is DJ. And we are going to be talking about the CW show Superman and Lois today.
Yes.
We jump into all that. We've got other stuff to talk about. How's your week been?
Man, actually, you know what? It's been a pretty good week. Definitely have nothing to complain about. The weather is nice. We're finally back into the 80s as far as high temperatures. The wind hasn't been as prevalent as it was the last week or two. So we've got that calmed down a little bit. And I've been doing some reading. Been doing some research for some topics we have coming up. And man, I'm excited.
Cool. So what specifically have you been reading?
Oh, man. So back on Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
I also am trying to finish up a series that I started from David Eddings. He did the Belgariad series, which is a book, a series of 5 books. And then he followed it up with another series of 5 books called The Malorian. And I'm about halfway through with that. So normally I'll have a section of books that I'll read in the morning, and then I'll have a section that I can read at night, and I can manage to keep them separate. So that's what I've been keeping busy with this week anyway.
Good deal.
How about you?
Well, let's see. I haven't really been watching much. I've been watching, of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I've watched that. As far as reading, still pretty much on the comic books. Last night I finished the 19, oh man, I actually don't remember when it came out. It was the storyline Return of Bruce Wayne. It came out right after Final Crisis. It was written by Grant Morrison. So I finished reading that. It was like a 6-part series. And then I started several days ago and haven't got a chance to finish it. It's a pretty large undertaking, but it's Frank Miller's RoboCop.
Oh, nice.
So there's a Frank Miller's RoboCop omnibus type book, and so I've been reading that. I'm probably about halfway through with that, I think. So that's pretty cool. Video game. Actually, with video games, I just recently bought, this past weekend, I bought the Marvel's Avengers game. I finally broke down and bought that, and I've been playing that one. So it's not a bad game. If you have you played it at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I got to play what do you call those? A preview game. I guess it was in beta or
Okay.
alpha state, whichever one comes first. I was,
Yeah.
lucky enough to get a advanced copy of that before they added all the extra bells and whistles. So it was just the bare bones game, and yeah, it was okay. I found it to be repetitive. I wasn't a big fan of the character models that they used. The best thing about it to me was the voice acting. I thought they did a great job with that. But otherwise, it was an okay game. A little repetitive for my taste.
As I get further into it, as Joey and I both get further into it, because we're both kind of tag teaming playing that, and we ought to do an episode on that at some point.
Yeah.
As he and I get further into it. Oh, we do have a guest with us. Charles is in the chat. Thanks for coming in, Charles. Good to have you. So cool. Yeah, that's all I've been doing. As I said, this is episode 40 of Rogue One Radio. You are, of course, watching us on YouTube. If you're watching this live, be sure and subscribe to us there on YouTube and hit that like button if you would, please. We are part of the Red 5 network. There are some great podcasts there for you to listen to. Some that are specifically Star Wars and some that are kind of a mishmash like we are. Other than that, if you are on Twitter and Instagram, you can check us out at Rogue1 Radio. And we've got Charlie. That was Charles. Okay. Looked like we had somebody else in there, but it's not.
Just me.
I keep forgetting your handle is Charlie.
Yeah. I gotta change that.
So we are going to be talking about Superman and Lois in a little bit. That was our main topic of the evening. We do have a top 5 list. We haven't done one of those in a while, so we're kind of getting back into doing that. We've got a little bit of news. It was kind of a slow news week.
Yeah, it was.
But we do have a few pieces of news to talk about. And before we jump into that, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first music break. This first song that I'm going to play is from a band called Talk Show Host. They have a new album coming out in June. It's going to be called Mid-Century Modern. These guys are from Toronto, Canada. And the song I'm going to play for you is from that upcoming album. And the song is called Blood in the Sand. So here we go.
Wash my hands and sing along. I've got time for another request. Don't mind the bloody cut and shave and sit back down and say we were done. It's a no crying sound, just having fun. Stop asking me questions. You know the answers to, 'cause now I hear them calling. Right now I hear them calling. My name, it feels so right, don't it? We're bleeding right, don't we? All have our sinister sides. We drown them in the ocean. Smash its face with my favorite word. But instead my just reward, I'll catch that horizon. You won't catch me ashore, 'cause now I hear them calling. Right now that's why you start to come undone. Shall we tell you I do late, and that's all you. And you can ride a road straight to that dream was just a bold dream. Oh, son, you bet wish you were dead. Oh, trying to see what's sunshine sun. And you can ride a road straight to I know they're calling right now. I know they're calling my name. That's when you start to come undone. Rush down, leave town, see you around. After they pen, that's all you. And you can ride around straight to the that dream was just a bold dream. Oh, sad you better wish you were dead. Oh, planets of the world, sunshine, sun. And you can ride around straight to the yeah, you can ride around straight to yeah, you can ride around straight to there's no room for chumps in her.
All right. That was Talk Show Host with Blood in the Sand.
I like that one. I agree,
Yeah,
Charles.
that was a good tune. Yeah, I like those guys from our neighbors up north in Canada. So we, of course, have more music for you later. But next we have some news to talk about. Not a whole lot. As I said, it was really slow news week.
Yeah.
But we've got a few. So why don't you go ahead and jumpstart us there, DJ?
Sure, absolutely. So just as a preface, because I forgot to mention a couple of things. One, I do live in the country. So if you are listening to this and you think you hear a rooster, you are correct. There is a rooster just right outside this window, apparently, and he chose now to start making noise. So that, and I also have a new camera. And so I might forget to look at it. So if it kind of looks like I'm staring off into space, I'm just forgetting where the new camera placement is. So yes, news. So this is coming from bleedingcool.com, and it is regarding the Last of Us HBO series.
Okay.
And I know we've talked about this a couple of times that they are actually going ahead and doing a series that is based off of the video game, and that they have already cast the leads for Joel and Ellie. Pedro Pascal will be Joel. Bella Ramsey will be Ellie. And they have updated that they're getting ready to start filming in Calgary this July. So right around the corner, they'll start filming that. I'm guessing probably either a late 2021 or 2022 for them to finish that up. And then they'll start the post-production and get it out to our views. I am excited for this one. I really enjoyed the storyline that the game had offered. I'm not sure if you've played it, Steve, or not, but
we've talked about this before. It has been a while, of course. I started it and never finished it. I really did like the storyline. It was just the gameplay was kind of I don't want to say it was wonky. It was just kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Not
is
really
an
sure how to
older PlayStation game. They did remaster it for the PS4, and sometimes when they do that, it's still things just don't sync up the way that they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had a very good storyline to it. But I agree, it was a little wonky to play.
Yeah. But aside from that, as you said, the storyline was really great, and it'll be really cool to see it on the in a live action iteration. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you have for news?
Well, we've got a movie that we may have discussed the on the show before, about just kind of rumors and announcements that it is actually going to happen. But Batman: The Long Halloween, which is actually one of my favorite Batman stories, is as we said, it's getting an animated film. I'm pretty happy about that. Earlier today, the trailer for it dropped, so you can check that out on YouTube. The trailer looks good, but the voice cast has been announced. Batman will be played by Jensen Ackles, who, if any of you folks out there are Supernatural fans, he is Dean Winchester on that show. He also had a role in the Superman based Smallville show back in the mid 2000s. He played, I don't know, probably 20-ish episodes. But in the animated world, he also was in Batman Under the Red Hood, but he did the voice of Jason Todd in that one. But in The Long Halloween, he is going to be doing the voice for Bruce Wayne / Batman. Catwoman is going to be done by the late Naya Rivera. I guess she recorded all her parts for both part 1 and part 2 of The Long Halloween. This is, if I didn't already mention that, which I probably didn't, it's going to be a 2-parter. But I guess she recorded all of her stuff prior to her unfortunate death, which I guess happened back in July. So that'll be a good homage to her. Other folks that are going to be in the cast are Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent, Billy Burke as James Gordon, Titus Welliver as Carmen Falcone, and many, many more. So definitely looking forward to that movie. I hope it doesn't turn out the same way the movie for Hush did, because that was an awful movie. But just based on the trailer, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. I watched the trailer earlier today, and it does look good. So, and the voice acting seems like it's pretty good, doing a pretty good job.
Awesome.
So I think you've got one more piece of news.
I do. And this one is Star Wars related.
Oh, wow.
So hold on to your buckets.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of old news, but new news as well. We have a new game for the Nintendo Switch and the PS4. This game is a port that has been remastered from the 2005 Star Wars line entitled Republic Commando. This was a big fan favorite game where you really had to work together with your crew in order to successfully navigate the storyline Yeah, so it came out today, April 6th. It's $14.99 for the price point on that. But yeah, it's awesome. It was originally done, I think it was the original Xbox, I think, and the
That sounds
PC.
right.
Yeah, you had to lead Delta Squad to do tactical missions in order to get to the end. So yeah, it was always a fun game to play. Excited that it's been remastered and available for some of the later game systems. I almost said next gen, but I guess that would be now the PS5 and Xbox X or whatever they're calling that one.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
but yeah, cool.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Charles just shared some news with us that some of the Bad Batch Black Series 6-inch figures are going to be rolling out. So that'll be cool for you collectors of action figures and whatnot. Speaking of Bad Batch, did you see the trailer for that? We talked about that last week. Never mind.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it at that time, but I have seen it since. And yeah, I'm excited to get back into some Star Wars action.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to that. Well, that of course is the end of news. Like I said, we didn't have a whole lot. Hopefully, next week might be a little bit better. I don't know. But we're about to start our main topic, which is getting you guys caught up on the Superman and Lois show. But before that, we're going to go ahead and take our second music break. This one is by a band from Wien, Austria. They are called Deecracks. They just put out an album last month called Serious Issues. And this is a song from that album called Lost in the Middle. Here we go.
It took some time, but I think that now I figure it out. Or maybe not, see, I have doubts. And it's all standing there upside down. And I can't seem to find a way out. I don't want to shoot ahead. I don't want to say talk to you. I'm lighting up since you're around. And it's been so long ago. So let me fall for you. And I'm lost in the middle. I'm lost in the middle with you. And I don't know what to do. No, I don't know what to do. Lost in the middle. 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 Lost in the middle.
All right, that was Lost in the Middle by Deecracks. So another good one. We've got Nicole in the chat with us, so welcome again to the chat, Nicole. Thanks for coming in. And I'm ready to talk some Superman Lois. How about you?
I am always ready to talk about Superman and Lois.
It's a really good show. I mean, it really has set a new bar for the CW shows.
Yeah, I agree. And you and I talked about it. I think when I saw the trailer for it, and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. I liked the Flash when it first started on the CW. Really didn't get into Arrow. Just for whatever reason, I'm not positive on that. I hadn't caught any of the Supergirl ones, so I wasn't sure. The trailer looked good, but I was kind of holding out on that until the first episode. And then after that first episode, you and I talked, and I really liked the relatability that pilot showed, and I really liked the way that the Superman character was being portrayed. I was in hook, line, and sinker even last week. I was like, man, where's the episode? I must have, did I hit a wrong button or what? I didn't know that they took a week off or whatever. So
yeah, it's a really good show. If you haven't already started watching that, it is definitely worth your while. Even if you don't like the other, CW shows like Arrow and Flash and Supergirl and whatnot, this is definitely worth checking out. It is in a sort a spin-off of the Supergirl show, because the actor who plays Superman in this one played Superman in Supergirl, so it is a spinoff. Just some kind of a brief overview of the show itself. There have been 5 episodes so far, and then they're taking a break. I'm not sure when they are supposed to be coming back, actually. But yeah, they're taking a break right now from it. The main characters, Clark Kent / Superman, is played by Tyler Hoechlin, and Lois Lane is played by Elizabeth Tulloch. And then there are other characters as well, which we will talk about going forward. So do you want to give us kind of a brief overview of the show, or other than what I've said? Anything
Sure.
specific you wanted to bring up?
Yeah. Well, I did. I wanted to look and see if I could see how long the break was. I did not see how long the break was. I know that the first season is going to consist of 15 episodes. So I don't know if they'll do 5, have a break, do 5, have a break, do 5, have a break. That'll get them to their 15. But on March 2nd, Superman and Lois was renewed for a second season. So we know that at least after this first 15 episodes, we are going to get more. So yeah, that's pretty cool news.
Yeah. So also, if you've never seen the show, just so you know, it does not take place in Metropolis. In the pilot episode, they're in Metropolis for a little while. But so far, the bulk of it takes place in Smallville. Now, before we continue, I do need to make sure it's out there. this is not a spoiler-free show. If you haven't watched it and you plan on watching it and don't want to be spoiled, come watch us some other time, because we will be spoiling this. First spoiler. Like I said, it does take place in Smallville, and the reason why is they moved back to Smallville after the death of his mother.
Yeah, Martha.
So I gotta say that was quite a shock to the system in that pilot episode. As long as we've known Superman, his dad has been dead, and that's been part of his origin. But there aren't a whole lot of instances where you are given the death of his mother.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, and not only that, I mean, in this series, they're not just Superman and Lois, or Clark and Lois aren't just dating; they're married. And not only are they married, they also have 2 teenage sons.
They do.
Yeah,
and that's a little departure from the comic books, where in the comic books they are married. But they only have one son, Jonathan, who, if you're reading any of the current, or have been reading any of the current Superman comic books, he is, a superhero in his own right. And if you are to believe any of the writing that's going on right now, he will, in the distant future, become the Earth Superman. But yeah, so he's got 2 sons, Jonathan and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, we'll probably talk about this more when we get to our kind of plot or episode overviews. But I did want to say something about the pilot that's kind of different from the rest of the episodes. In the pilot, they kind of explored a little bit the idea of Jordan's kind of anxiety issues, kind of his mental state, and they haven't really dug into it as much as I thought they were going to, based off of that pilot. In the later episodes, but it is definitely discussed in the pilot episode.
Yeah. One of the big takeaways that I've gotten out of the 5 episodes is how different it is from a lot of the other either movies or TV shows that I've seen regarding Superman, is that it's the way that he struggles with his family, and the relationship between his calling as Superman and his marriage, and how to care for the 2 boys, and now that his other support system is gone with his the departure of his mother, so I really enjoy that aspect of it. I guess the only other show I can remember seeing that really dealt with that would be like Smallville, and that when he would be like a teenager himself. So it's really interesting to see that dynamic play out in live action. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, this one and Smallville both have done a really good job of humanizing the character.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just good way to let us relate to a character that otherwise is really unrelatable. This invulnerable, near immortal character still has day-to-day issues like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next we were going to talk about some of the characters that we have seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
So of course we have the two sons. We have Jonathan and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan was portrayed originally as the kind of jock type, whereas Jordan was kind of a recluse. And like I said, he had some anxiety, social anxiety, and basically just sat in his room and played video games. But as the series has progressed, we find out that Jordan is the one with the powers. And eventually he actually joins the football team and starts being kind of the jockey type.
Yeah.
Whereas Jonathan is still on the football team, but is kind of looked over. So, and then of course we got the Langs
Mm-hmm.
that are in there. Lana and her husband Kyle.
Kyle, yeah.
So Lana kind of seems like she works at a bank, and she's just trying to keep the peace in her family, I guess, between her family, everybody in her family, and kind of keep the peace between her family and the Kents. And then you got Kyle, who he really kind of seems naive in a sense. Like he's got this mentality of not specifically, but kind of the mentality that you would hear from, I could take a little cancer if it gets the town some jobs.
Yeah.
He's like really wants the and his heart's in the right place. He wants the town to thrive and get more jobs, but at what cost?
Yeah.
He doesn't, not that he doesn't care about the cost, but he just seems naive about the cost. And that cost, of course, coming from the, if you want to call him, so far it seems like he is the Lex Luthor for this series. His name is Morgan Edge.
Mm-hmm.
And so Morgan Edge, if you don't know anything about the comic books, he is when did he first show up? He's been in the Superman comics kind of since the 70s.
Yeah.
So it is a kind of a comic book character that they brought in for this. But he's kind of this, multi-millionaire character that, from what it seems, his motives are definitely not altruistic.
Yeah.
He definitely has some ulterior motives for Smallville, and as I said, Kyle Cushing, or not Kyle Cushing, Kyle Cushing. He's like a fireman in Smallville, but he wants the town to do well, and he's just naive to the whole motive. Of Morgan Edge. Other than,
for me, Lana seems like she was, and growing up in a small town myself, and I kind of understand that this character. She was prom queen and had everything, and I know that they mentioned a couple of times that she did date Clark in high school, and then he just left. And and she's the small town girl that had everything that just didn't leave or couldn't leave for whatever reason, and is kind of stuck in that mode of not sure what to do and how to go about doing it. And she's tried to make the best choices that she could for her. A very interesting character. Was not really a big fan after the pilot, but really have grown to like that character. And of course, Lana and Kyle have 2 daughters. They have Sarah, who is the friend of the 2 Kent boys. And then there's another one, Sophie, who is the younger of the 2 kids from them.
Right.
That's very interesting. Glad you brought up Morgan Edge. I thought that was an interesting character as well. It really does. He reminds me a lot of like the Lex Luthor from Smallville. He fulfills that role, the antagonist, but seems to be doing good and wants the best for the community. But does he really, or is he? How much of it is he just saying, and how much does he actually mean? So, Nicole said that she's excited for the Lana and daughter storyline. They're dealing with some of what we deal with today. I really enjoy the writing on this. The way that they take some of their events and and relate it into the show and what's going on. So, agreed.
It's the writing on the show is really good. Oh, we've got Megan in the chat with us. Welcome, Megan. Thanks for coming in. And so we're kind of just now starting with our Superman and Lois discussion. We're just kind of going over some of the characters that are in there. Another character that they've introduced is Lois Lane's father, General Samuel Lane, Army General, who is I do like this iteration of General Lane more than the one from Smallville, actually.
Yeah.
Oh man, what was his name is escaping me. Michael Ironside. Played him. And while Michael Ironside has done some fantastic work, I just prefer this version of General Lane. And it could be mostly because of the writing specifically. He's grandpa and they set him up as he's not happy about the fact that Superman or that Clark has revealed himself to his sons. Doesn't think it was the right idea. And I like the way that they kind of I'm not sure what kind of relationship you would call it between him and Superman. He kind of treats him like a tool of the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you work for us, and it's like, well, that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic that those two have. And then, of course, you have this Captain Luthor, is what he's referred to as. Now, here's the thing: never in the show so far have they said this is Lex Luthor. They have said that it is a Luthor, or hinted at rather that it is a Luthor from a parallel universe or a parallel Earth that is opposed to Superman. So it could be Lex, or it could be a different Luthor. We don't know. I would assume that it is Lex Luthor. But they've been very cryptic to use the word Lex or Alexander or anything for that matter. They just refer to him as Captain Luthor.
Yeah. When we just found out a little bit more of his universe, and I think why he has such a large distaste for Superman. And of course, this is a big big spoiler there, but that this Luthor in his dimension is married to Lois and not Clark. So that's but Superman is always around. He says wherever Lois is, Superman's not far behind. So we don't know what's going on in that dimension. But for whatever reason, that he wants to rid the world of Superman. I mean, I don't know why he didn't do it in his own dimension rather than having to travel to different dimensions to do it. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe that's something we'll get into.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get more into that. We got another visitor with us. Kat has come in, aka Vader Girl, has come in the chat. Welcome and thanks for coming in. We're just talking a little Lois, or Superman Lois. Almost said Lois and Clark.
That's a different series.
It is definitely not that show. Yeah, so they kind of hinted at this dark Superman, who is reminiscent slightly of the Injustice version of Superman, kind of this evil Superman. So I'm looking forward to maybe them kind of filling us in on that a little bit. Are there any other specific characters that you wanted to discuss so far? The only other one that I can think of, and he hasn't even been in the show but one episode that I can recall, and that is Jor-El. We get a holographic Jor-El, played by Angus McFadden.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you recognize that name or if anybody watching the show recognizes that name or recognized the character when they saw him. But the first time I saw this actor in a movie, he played Robert the Bruce in Braveheart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he actually reprised that role in a different movie, not the same Robert the Bruce, but it is Robert the Bruce, in a 2019 film called Robert the Bruce. So I guess they thought he did a good job in Braveheart as Robert the Bruce, so they punched him in there for this 2019 kind of, I guess, biopic, because it's a more biographical type film. as far as the other stuff he's been in some of the Saw movies. He was in prior to Braveheart, he was in a Elizabeth Taylor biopic, and he played Richard Burton. But in any case, so he played Jor-El, and as far as I can remember, he's only done it in that one episode. Adam's with us. Hey, Adam, welcome. Thanks for coming in. But yeah, he's only been in that one episode where he kind of was a downer for Jordan. And just go, you're never going to be Superman. Well, okay, you're not going to be Superman because Superman is Superman. But
yeah,
but he was. So I don't know if he's going to be in more episodes. I kind of hope he is because he kind of reminds me a little bit of the Russell Crowe iteration. Of Jor-El.
Yeah.
From, of course, Man of Steel. But yeah, I can't think of any other characters.
The only other one the only one that comes to mind is the editor of the Smallville Gazette that Lois works with. I think her name in the show is Chrissy, I believe, but she's been in quite a few episodes.
That's right.
Yeah, and helps Lois get some scoops on stuff, and so yeah, it's another reoccurring character anyway. She hasn't done much as of yet, but still she's been in a few episodes, so we'd be remiss if we didn't bring her up. So
right. And so if you haven't already guessed, Lois is not working for the Daily Planet anymore. The Daily Planet, I guess, was purchased by Morgan Edge, and he kept messing with her work, so she quit. And so now she is working for the Smallville Gazette. So,
yeah.
So yeah. So did you want to kind of go over the plot synopsises, or do you want to kind of switch off?
We can do that pretty. We could do that pretty quick.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be too detailed. Just kind of give them a.
Yeah. So, like in the pilot, we had introductions to the characters, and we have Clark or Superman's mom has had a stroke and passes away, and they decide that this was something that Martha Kent was wanting, was Clark to return back to Smallville. So they decide that they'll pull up their stakes in Metropolis and settle into Smallville again. Everyone seems to be on board with it, but of course, things never go as planned. We get a brief introduction to a Captain Luthor, and we find out that he is searching the globe for some kryptonite. So, and he and Superman get into a tangle, and Captain Luthor has a mechanical suit that helps him and gives him a little bit of an edge. They continue. They keep going back and forth. The Kents try to settle back into their life in a small town. The not sure exactly what to do with the boys. And Jordan ends up using a superpower, and so they don't let him really go to school, and not sure exactly what to do with him. And then we have the news of Jordan's powers as of right now are limited. So he's really disappointed by that, but he's tired of getting bullied at school. So he decides to join the football team and becomes a star and outshines his brother, who is still riding the bench. And then we start getting other people that are starting to display some powers of their own, and we're really not sure exactly what's going on with that, other than Morgan Edge has something to do with it. And and it's really hard to track everything down, because there's so many lines and plots that they're casting out. General or Luther, Captain, I guess Luther, is he's in and out, only shows up for just brief amounts of time. Superman's trying to deal with all these other people that are coming up. That's about really it, without getting into specifics. But yeah, the Kent's trying to fit into small town life. Superman's still trying to play Superman and deal with his family, and Lois knows she's onto something, but is having trouble trying to figure it out, and get to the bottom of it. And and then now we have the teenagers being teenagers, and everyone's having to deal with that as well. But that's pretty much where we are up to right now.
Yes. So our next little portion here, we were going to go over our likes and dislikes.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want us to start with dislikes? Let's just start with likes.
Yeah,
it's easier. Of course, the writing. The overall writing is great. The casting, excellent job on the casting. Tyler, he's no Tom Welling, but he is definitely, I would say, at least in my opinion, the second best live action Superman. So I love the casting of Lois. Like I mentioned earlier, I like the casting of General Lane. Casting Alana. Yeah, just casting overall. We've mentioned it, of course, a couple of times here, but I really like the way that the show humanizes Superman, and while dealing with superhuman threats or human threats, depending on what he's going off to save, trying to balance that and being a father is just something that you don't get to see a whole lot. I like that. I like the idea that they're bringing in this parallel Earth, because that brings kind of an intriguing uh, side story to the whole show. And yeah, so I guess those are my main likes. How about you?
Yeah, well, number one is the relatability of Superman. I really like this version of him. He's not too cheesy. He's not, even physically, he doesn't necessarily. I mean, he's not Henry Cavill. That's but we don't need that type of Superman for this. And I like that. He looks for the most part pretty normal. I'm sure he's fit and all, but he looks like a normal average guy. He's somebody that you could get lost in a crowd and not even really think twice. Whereas some of the other Supermans that we've had are just so. Like you can tell, hey, something's off on this, and just a pair of glasses and change of clothes isn't going to, fool anybody. So I like that. I really
definitely more believable as a Clark Kent.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I like the way that they're exploring the family dynamics, either with Sam Lane being in the military, versus how should Superman be used, or what should his job be, and where he thinks it's he's a tool, and Superman's like hey, first it's my family, and then if I can help you out, then I will. The dynamics between him and Lois, the dynamics between him and the boys. I really like that part of it. I think the storylines are very well written. I can't wait to see where they're going with it as far as the Captain Luthor, and see where that goes. I really like the guy that's playing him. It's just if I was to see like another version of like a Lex Luthor, he seems very cold, calculated, willing to do whatever it takes. I really like that character as well. I think that the music for it is done well, the score and everything. I enjoy that. But yeah, that's about it, really. I don't know how much more we could say, but
yeah. Just like the show.
yeah. Any dislikes for you?
Oh, I kind of touched on this when we talked about this a few episodes ago when we did the kind of the recap on the pilot episode. And same as before, it's really nitpicky, and it comes from a very comic book purist mentality. And I'm not even sure I would call it a dislike. It's just I take issue with the fact that they have two sons, and that Jonathan is not the one with the powers.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I wouldn't necessarily call it a dislike because I actually like the way that dynamic works. A part of me thinks that's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can understand that.
Jonathan Kent as a comic book character hasn't really been around for a long time. But the fact that he is Superman and Lois's son and will eventually, if you believe the writing will be the Earth Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this this iteration, they've got two sons, and Jordan is the one with the powers. It's just a little shaky.
Yeah.
But it works.
It kind of reminds me to kind of throw it back to Star Wars for a second. We had the extended universe where Han and Leia get married. They have children. They have Jason and Jaina. And then, of course, that gets scrubbed, and we end up with, instead, it's kind of the reverse. Instead of having two children, with whether or not they have powers or not, but we're down to one. So
that is an excellent point. But didn't they have three actually?
They did, yes. They had a set of twins, and then they had an Anakin afterwards.
Okay, I wasn't remembering. I just wanted to. That was for my own benefit. But you do make an excellent point. This is a different Superman than what we read in the comic books. However, that being said, the people who are writing this show, I feel like they really get the character of Superman.
Yeah.
The guys who wrote Smallville, they got that character. I don't so much think that Zack Snyder understands the character of Superman. There were a few moments in the movie Man of Steel where he kind of touches on some correct aspects of his character, but overall, I just don't think he fully understands that character. Whereas the writers of this show, I think, do a bang up job of understanding the character.
Yeah, and that's all we really want as fans is, for some sort of continuity, because we've seen how Superman is in the comics, and then we see how he is in some of the shows, and then we get another version of him in some of the movies, and it's like, well, just be consistent with it, and that's all we ask for. If and I guess you could say the same thing with Batman too. There's been so many different versions of Batman, and what his moral code is and what he's willing to do, and just stay consistent with it. We know how he's supposed to operate, at least according to the comics, which is the source material. Don't vary from it too much. Have some, be a little original, but certain things, let's stick to the source material.
Exactly. I mean, like you said, you don't have to be 100% on everything. Take some liberty with it, but the character's essence, don't mess with that.
Yeah.
What makes Superman, what makes him such a great character and a great superhero, don't mess with that.
Yeah.
Sure, give him two sons. Fine.
Yeah. Don't have him going around breaking people's necks.
Exactly. Oh, don't get me started on that. Oh, man. When I was in the theater for the first time seeing that movie, I about jumped out of my seat. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
What do we got? Speculation for the future. Yeah, speculation for the future. Now, before we jump into that, Nicole has said, in response to part of the discussion we had, she thinks that Jonathan might get his powers later. So this is a good segue into our speculation for the future. What do you think?
It's speculative. No, I don't. I I have a feeling that, as you said, in the comics, there's only one son.
Mhm.
I think there's going to be something that happens, and I think Jonathan will be out of the story in some way or another, but that's going to get Jordan um, to have another to Hulk up or Superman up and to gain control and get full access to the powers.
Mhm.
Um, that's just speculation. I hope not, because I
Yeah.
really enjoy the character. But yeah, I think something's going to happen, and they'll be down to one, and not. He'll have, you Jordan will have all the powers, and they'll have to go revisit Jor-El and figure out what to do. Um, at least that part of it.
Yeah.
As far as other speculation, um, man, it's really hard to say. I know that there'll have to be a confrontation with Morgan Edge.
Yeah.
I think we'll. I don't know if we'll see the end of Captain Luther in this series. I think that he'll possibly go back to his own dimension, but that will open up the gate for other things to happen, and other nemesises to make an appearance. We don't know how he's done it yet, but I think that's going to open a floodgate, or a potential floodgate. But yeah, that's what I got for speculation, at least.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on the Jonathan angle. I don't think he's going to get his powers, or get any powers, rather. That is an interesting concept to bring up, that something is going to happen to him. That would not surprise me if that does happen, if that becomes a story arc somewhere in there, maybe a cliffhanger at the end of season 1. Something happens to Jonathan, and Jordan fully powers up and has to help Dad go save him, or go search for him or something like that.
Even if it's something as Captain Luther decides that he's going back to his own dimension, and Jonathan somehow either gets aboard, or Luther takes him.
Yeah.
And something where some sort of catalyst, not necessarily something bad has to happen to him.
Yeah.
But he'll be out of the picture, and who knows? He might go off to a different dimension at the end of, say, season 1, and they think that he's dead, and then comes back in season 2, and then he has powers, by going back through some sort of dimensional wardrobe or whatever. And then he's imbued with some sort of magic power, or however they want to do it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and on that point about the alternate dimension, I think some of this might be hopeful speculation, but I think they're going to give us some more insight into Captain Luther's into his parallel Earth. I think they're going to do. I get the feeling they're going to do at least one episode that kind of takes us over into that world.
Yeah.
And gives us a little bit stronger insight into why does Captain Luther hate Superman so much, and how they got to that point in the first place.
Yeah.
How did I'm assuming, a good Superman turn into a bad Superman. So, yeah, that's really all the speculation that I have as well. I'm just really looking forward to the rest of the season and hoping they continue on the same trajectory of great writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So that's really all we have as far as our catch up of the Superman and Lois show. Next up, we return with our top 5 list. We are doing top 5 Superman stories. So I've got a couple of folks from Twitter that chimed in on that and gave us their favorites. And then we'll kind of go over our favorites. But before that, we are going to jump in on our final musical break of the evening. This one is from a band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They are called Fire in the Radio. This is from their latest release that came out last year in April. So this time last year, the album was called Monuments, and the song is called I Said. So here you go, folks.
All right. Well, I guess we're having some difficulties as far as the songs going. Sorry for the dead time on live, but we'll edit that out on.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah,
The sound wasn't going?
Yeah, no sound for that one.
Oh, that's all right. I'll fix that. Give me just a second. I think I know what happened. Well then, okay. Come on. All right, I'm going to try this again. Why? I think I was having some internet issues, and it was not buffering or something. I don't know. We'll try it again. Okay. Come on now.
taken buried in your arms. Your arms. You were staring at the sky. I asked you if we're home. Since you never had one that you know. I said, let me know if you think this is enough. I said, everything doesn't always have to cut. You can drown in your own head. Always been the one to doubt it. This time, no, I'll bring you. Summer infinite of love will miss you in the fall. I wonder if we can last it all. And now we stare up at the sky and ask if we were home. Since you never had one that you know. To know. I said, let me know if you think this is enough. I said, everything doesn't always have to cut. Drowning in your own head. Always being the one to doubt it. This time I know I'm with you. I said, let me know if you think this is enough. I said, everything doesn't always have to cut. Drowning. Always been the one to doubt it. This time, I know I'll make you wrong. We're wrong.
All right. Fire in the Radio with I Said from their 2020 album Monuments. I think I might have played that band on the show before. Not 100% certain.
I think it sounds familiar.
Yeah, they kind of have that almost like Jesus and Mary Chain,
Yeah.
Echo and the Bunnymen kind of feel going. That I do like that. Anyway, so that was the last music break of the night, and now we are going to be going over some top 5 Superman stories. We did get a couple of I asked the question on our Twitter page. We got a couple of responses back. One from ATSW, the Escape Pod, said their favorite is Red Sun. And Force Losers responded with Man of Steel, the movie. So kind of breaking from the comic book thought, but still it's a good story overall.
Mm-hmm.
So top 5 Superman stories. You want to go ahead and start us off with your number 5?
Sure. Man, it's I just realized I had one twice. So I'll go ahead and knock that one out. Superman Exile, 1989.
Wow, really going back. Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember who wrote this one.
That
but
was Jerry. That was Jerry Ordway.
oh, okay. This one really, I really liked it because, and very similar to what we were talking about, as far as some of the things that we didn't like to see changed about, Superman is, what if, he does things that, he doesn't want to do, such as getting rid of the villains in the Phantom Zone, and how much guilt that he has, or that he could have in not being able to deal with it. And so he goes off and is away from Earth and is trying to wrestle and deal with the guilt, associated with his actions. And that is something that's really, really hit home with me. And so that's my number 5.
So I actually looked that up because I was like, man, I haven't read that probably since about the time it came out. It's been a long time, but I was reading some stuff on it. It was a crossover of the various Superman titles. You had Superman, and then Action Comics, and at the time, Adventures of Superman. So there were actually multiple writers. Jerry Ordway was the writer of Adventures of Superman at the time. So he did those. And then Dan Jurgens was writing the Superman title at the time. So he was another writer of that series, as well as Roger Stern and believe it or not, George Perez. So that was a collaborative effort because that was kind of a Superman title crossover series. That was a good choice. I haven't read that in years, and now I'm gonna have to put that on my to read list. Check that one out again. My number 5 is Red Sun. That one came out in 2003. It was written by Mark Millar, and of course that was the one where he it was an Elseworlds series, kind of a what if Superman had been rocketed into Soviet Russia instead of Kansas, and how all that played out. And there was an animated movie based on that story. Interesting side note, if I had to ask, he had to work tonight. Otherwise, I would have had Joey on with us tonight to talk about this. If I had to guess, Red Sun would be his number 1. And he was really disappointed with the movie version. He refers to it as his Hush. Because if we haven't had this discussion, Hush is one of my favorite Batman stories that was made into an animated film, and the animated film was just horrible. So he refers to Red Sun as his Hush. So number 4 for you.
That would be the Man of Steel in 1986.
Okay.
It's when they did the I guess it's the reboot that they did in 86.
Yeah.
And John Byrne did this one. And I really enjoyed it. It was it was a good one for me, and and this was my comic heyday around this time, the mid 80s.
Yeah.
So it's I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, another great choice. We'll be hearing about that later again. My number 4 is the 92-93 Death of Superman story. I really had a hard time with my number 3 and number 4 rankings, deciding which one I liked better. So my number 3 and my number 4 could be interchangeable. But for now, I'm going to call this one my number 4. Of course, written by Dan Jurgens, who, honestly, if you ask me, in my opinion, and actually if you ask Joey as well, Dan Jurgens is the Superman writer who, between him and John Burns, kind of set the bar for Superman writing, because they both really understood the character and their writing was just above par. So Jurgens is the most recent one that he is the one you set your bar for. So Death of Superman, that story, it was just another, an amazing storyline. At the time, it was just, I remember when it first came out and everybody was just like, oh my gosh, how can you kill Superman? And how crazy and how devastating at the time, how devastating the idea of Superman dying was. When you went to the comic book shop, you got it in a black, it had a black cover. And if you were lucky enough, you got one of the limited editions that had the black armband that you could wear. And it was an event. The Death of Superman wasn't just a story. It was an event. And it was great. And, so that one is could be my number 3, but for this purpose, we'll say it's my number 4. for now. I may decide to, if we do this list in 2 weeks, it might be completely different.
All right. My number 3. I've jumped forward in time a little bit. And I went for Superman for All Seasons, 1998. And this one I put in because it was unique. It ran at the same time as other Superman stuff, and it was only a 4-episode series. And it was Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale did this one. And I really liked it because it was narrated by a different person, each one. Yep. Each chapter had a different viewpoint of it. And it showed what they thought of Superman from their own eyes. And I thought that was something that was pretty special. I hadn't seen that before, and or since. So that's my number 3.
Okay, so if you liked that, there is a fairly new. I think it may be a limited series. I'm not sure, but it just started this year. Something I can recommend to you. It's called Superman Red and Blue. Definitely worth checking out. It's 5 different stories by 5 different writers. Some really interesting stuff in there. Not by any, let's call them marquee writers, I guess would be the way. Not no names by any stretch, but just not marquee Superman writers or writers that have written anything incredibly big. But those, if you liked Superman for All Seasons, you should check that one out. It's not in my list, but I just recently read the first issue, and looking forward to the next one. So my number 3, again, could be number 4, just depending on my mood. And this one's a bit out there. It is Superman Earth 1 by J. Michael Straczynski. A kind of a different perception or a different take on the Superman character. There were 3 volumes of this one. It started in 2010. I don't know if there's going to be a 4th, but there were. You know what? I don't even know if there were 3. Maybe there were just 2. Let me double check my research here. I seem to remember 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are 3. There are 3. And so yeah, the volume 1 came out in 2010. Volume 2 came out in 2012, and volume 3 came out in 2015. Really good story, a series of graphic novels, kind of a modern re-imaging would be a way to explain it. And it's part of their Earth One imprint, DC Comics Earth One imprint, which also has Batman, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, Green Lantern. I just like the re-imaging. I like the modernization of the character while still staying true to the character. And I like that they went out, not necessarily out on a limb, but went out there and picked a person that you wouldn't think would write a Superman story to do this. He did a really good job. And if you haven't read it, if you read the first couple of volumes, or even just the first, and then watch Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Man of Steel came out after the first volume of Earth One, and you might see Man of Steel might be a little tiny bit derivative of that particular book in some ways.
Cool.
So that was a good story. Your number 2.
My number 2 is one that you've already talked about.
Oh, okay.
And it is Red Sun. Yeah,
Okay.
Millar and Johnson. I've read quite a few of Mark Millar's work, and I really like his ideas and where he takes them. But yeah, and with me being a huge what if guy, what if it wasn't Kansas? What if it was somewhere else? And why not Russia? And I thought that was a really cool concept. And I like things that are just off the beaten path and we haven't seen that much of. So number 2.
Yeah. Mark Millar is definitely a good writer, and he did a great job on that. He had an excellent run on Ultimate X-Men.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My number 2 is one that you've already talked about, and that is John Byrne's Man of Steel. Of course, this was the reboot after the events of Crisis on Infinite Earth. And this, again, like I mentioned earlier, John Byrne is kind of, he's the bar. He's, if you're going to write Superman, you need to be paying attention to John Byrne and Dan Jurgens. But Man of Steel by John Burns is definitely, if somebody's going to ask me what Superman comics they should read first, I would say start there. These other ones are on my favorites list, but all things being said, start there. If you've never read a Superman comic book, start there. Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our number 1.
My number 1 is also one that you have mentioned.
Okay.
And that is Death of Superman.
Solid number 1. Okay.
And the reason being is, for me, that was one of those that were a where were you moment for comics. And
very good.
It really was. Now it's Shadow of the Empire for Star Wars, how that was such a big deal with the game and the comics and the and the novel and the soundtrack and everything that came with the Shadow of the Empire for Star Wars. The death of Superman did for at least for me for Superman. Yeah, he's been gone a couple of times or a few times before that, but this was the first one to me that was an actual event feel that it had to be there, had to read it, and yeah, I remember getting the comic, the black cover, and it came in a black bag. Uh, yeah, a comic book bag, and it was well, maybe not black. I think it was charcoal gray. Uh, and yeah, it was, and it had the black S emblem on it. Yeah, it's such a momentous occasion for a comic book. I had to put that number one.
Yep. Now, I will say about my number one, just like 3 and 4, my 1 and 2 could be interchangeable depending on my mood. This one is a little bit newer. Well, it's quite a bit newer than the Man of Steel, the John Byrne Man of Steel. But my number one this week is Superman Secret Origin. Written by Jeff John. It originally came out toward the end of 2009 and kind of bled into 2010. So this was another, I guess you could say, a reboot. As John Byrne's Man of Steel was kind of a reboot following Crisis on Infinite Earth, Secret Origin was a reboot following Infinite Crisis. So this one starts off with Clark Kent in his preteens as Superboy. And he this is some of the concepts from this you may have thought came out of Smallville or vice versa. So there's a little bit of similarities. But it's a really great story. Jeff Johns is another one who knows the character really well. There are some really awesome moments in this book. I own the deluxe edition, which has all of the issues in one. It was illustrated by Gary Frank. And, the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank team up is a really, really one of those writer artist team ups that you like to see, and pretty much will read just about anything they do together. But it's a really good one, and definitely worth checking out. This would probably be the second place I would send somebody if they've never read a Superman comic book.
Awesome.
So there you have it. Yeah. So I think that. Go ahead.
I really like what Nicole put. There's no top 5 here. I just love Superman. I always liked the love storyline with Lois and Clark. Now I'm excited to see them move Clark and Lois on in life. Let them grow. That's awesome.
Yep, I agree. Very
Great
good,
comment.
Nicole. Great. So that wraps us up for the night. As I said earlier in the show, go ahead and follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at Rogue1 Radio. Make sure you check out all the other great podcasts on Red 5 Network. Just go to red5network.com. Find them. You can find those on those guys on Twitter as well. I don't have any other closing thought. Oh, you are on YouTube if you're watching this, so go ahead and subscribe, please, and squash that like button for us, if you would, please. And as Nicole says here, party on Wayne, party on Garth. Thank you.
Party on, Polly.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for a fun Superman discussion. You are absolutely welcome. I love talking about Superman. And we might do it again sometime soon. I don't know. Next week, I think we are going to be on the next episode of our Skywalker Saga series. We will be discussing Return of the Jedi.
The best movie of the bunch.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that is it for us tonight, folks. I don't have anything else. Did you have any closing comments, or DJ?
No. Help control the pet population. Get your pets spayed and neutered. Oh wait, that's The Price is Right. No, yeah. Until next time, be excellent to each other.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you again next week, folks. Good night.